How's it going, guys? I'm working at the milking right now. It's about 5:30 in the morning. Today's the day we're going to be installing our floor scraping robots. We have some people coming to help us install them. Kind of see how the floors look all the time. We have the slats. It allows the liquid to fall through right away, but we always have some manure that sits on top, and especially right behind the stalls. That last step that the cow's taking before she steps into the stall, if she's stepping right in a pile of manure, she's going to carry that up to the front, get it in the clean bedding. The whole idea is if we can scrape these floors constantly throughout the day, they'll stay a whole lot cleaner, which will keep the beds cleaner, keep the cows cleaner, hopefully help the foot health. Something we've always done after we clean the stalls is run this shovel right along the back just to clean that back edge. We're not gonna have to do that anymore after we get the scrapers in. Cows were milked. I'm gonna get the scrapers out of the shop. We'll take them up to the freestall barn. The first pallet has our chargers and parts, and then there's the two bots right there. So they're here to help me install these now. We were just having a conversation about what direction to run it or exactly how to set the routes up. So we're gonna mount this charging station on first. It's just gonna be right on this post. I just want to pull it off the pallet and then we can flip it up. Yeah. Going over everything. It looks like it's working so far. So this is our water tank here. It'll fill up through this and then pump it down through and sprays out inside there. Nice and clean. What do you think, girls? We got the first one set in on the charger. It's charging. We'll let that sit before we program it, make sure it's fully charged. Then we're gonna get the second one set in and charging. This one seems a touch looser. This is the water hookup we're going to attach to the wall now. Put it right here or something.
I'll just hold that back.
It is the next morning now. Just brought some boards out because we had laid those boards along the walls for the robots to bump up against, and they're just not high enough quite. Right there we got a 5-inch step, and the robots are going to bump up and kind of ride over top of them with this front edge. I want to get those built up. Yesterday we worked at them for a while, got both of them set up on the chargers. They should be fully charged now and ready to program today. We opened up both of the robots, went over them. Everything seems to be working. They drive and everything. Batteries are good. So that was a really good thing. We do have to put new tires on this one. This, you can see how bald this tire is. And then the other one, we're gonna change the scraper blade. So I think I'm gonna just put a 2x4 on top of that one over there. That one's just attached to the floor. This side needs to be removable because we have to be able to drive in here with a skid loader. So I'm gonna have to put a heavier board, do something different, because it's not fastened down. The other day we laid these boards in. I was kind of hoping that the bot would just come up and tap into it and stop, but it's just too flimsy. Like it comes in and hits it and it'll push it up out of the way. If I get a big heavy beam, maybe a 6x6, and lay it in, it'll have enough weight to it that it'll stay in place. I just need to get something working and we can change it later if it's not perfect. Pull these two fastened boards out, we'll move them back a little bit, and then we can set a 6x6 in. Then the other issue is this water station. This is just a little flimsy. We just screw these boards back into this board in the back here, and that's not that solid of a board to start with, and until we transfer it out through, it's just got too much movement to it. So I'm gonna have to get a little piece of angle, attach it to the concrete, and then into this to strengthen that up. I'll get that figured out after I get these boards done on the floor. I'm not gonna need this board here, so we'll just use this one and just simply put it on top of this board. Just added 1.5 inches more. I'm gonna cut these two 6x6s the right length so we can do the two end doors that we're gonna be driving in and out. 99 inches. Our warm weather went away pretty quick. It was in the mid-70s 2 days ago. This is our robot feed pusher we've had for about 4 years now. So we kind of know what we're getting into with the robots. They're very handy. Sometimes they give trouble, but overall, it's been worth having that feed pusher. Most of the time it works good. From what they've told me, these scrapers should be more reliable than the feed pusher. The nice thing about the scrapers is if they're not working, they can sit for a little bit and it's not a problem. So I'll put these blockers in right there. Have to drill new holes for them. I just have one more board to finish out this pen. Just fasten it to this 2x4 we already had here. I can't believe we used to mess with Phillips heads. Once you get these star bits, you'll never go back. Now I'm gonna work at solidifying this water station. So I'm just gonna get a piece of angle metal, drill some holes in it so that I can put lags into the wood and then fasteners down into the concrete. We'll go down to the shop and cut that. We got a new set of wheels for this one. Should really help. Doing a turn calibration, and then he's gonna start setting the routes up.
Wheel rides on this,
Right.
then that'll scrape right behind that mat the whole way down. I'll set my ultrasound to 1900, and then that'll just ultrasound all the way to here.
And if there's cows there, that won't throw the ultrasound off too much.
No, it sends out a couple different pulses, so it
Okay.
averages the pulses. If I say 1900 and then it says 1900, 1900, 1900, 400, 1900, it's not
That's
gonna
good
like
enough.
pick out.
So the thing has an ultrasound sensor right in there. It uses as well, so it can tell where it's at by bumping into things, but then also the ultrasound. He has to follow it around and tell it exactly where to go. Probably gonna freak the cows out at first. So he's just gonna run it straight across to that side. Should be able to go right under the gates since we modified them. On the first pass, it didn't get rid of this dry stuff too well, but over time it will, and especially once we get the water going. We don't have the water running right now. Just making sure my gate's clear. Looks like our 2x4s are high enough now. There you can see the difference. It's gonna get even cleaner than this once we have the water running. It'll get rid of that little bit of slime there. So I got water hooked up now to this one. So when it pushes into this, so it just took off. I wanted to see it try the water, but apparently it's a little too cold, so it didn't want to hook up to the water. If it's below a certain temperature, it won't get water. So it is the next day now. We've had it running since yesterday. This one's been working, hasn't given any issues. Been pretty impressed with it. It's gonna charge back up. The one on the other side had a little issue with the charging station not working quite right. We're getting that figured out. You just see how much cleaner the floors are staying. It's awesome. So we're always trying to make little changes to improve things. This is just kind of a fundamental change, getting the floors cleaned up. That's gonna keep the cows' hooves cleaner. It's gonna keep the beds cleaner. So the foot health should be better, the udder health. I'm just really excited to see what ends up happening. It just looks a whole lot nicer in the barn. They're always tracking a little bit of manure around, and then their front feet are carrying it up into the top of the beds, getting our clean bedding dirty. We haven't tried the water yet. This afternoon it's gonna be getting warmer, and I wanna try to get that going and test it out. And that should clean it up even more. I'm gonna do more videos on these scrapers. There's still some things to work out. That one hasn't run since last night, so you can see how dirty it is again. We had it going yesterday. We don't have it programmed to run down the crossover towards the parlor, and also to do these end areas. We just have it going the length of the barn, cleaning up the main areas. So the more complicated you make the routes, the more likely you are to have trouble with it. It's kind of a trade-off, you know, is it worth trying to get it to stop and go across there? It needs to have a bump point, so when it runs into a wall, then it knows where it's at. I do want to try to make a route to do this crossover. I think we can get that done. Just have to figure out the best way to get it to locate itself. You know, coming back this way, I don't have anything for it to bump against. Yep. All right, thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed.